Yes, guys, so welcome to the first free training video in preparation for obviously the clothing brand blueprint to launch, which will be the 13th of August. I wanted to put you guys through a series of free training videos just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect and also just to help you guys out as much as possible, as that truly is my mission. Obviously, as a lot of you will know, I work with a lot of established brands and I'm also building my own brands and have been doing so for the past 10 years. So it's been a mad journey. I've learned loads of stuff and I just want to basically, help you guys offload some of the information to help you from, making a load of mistakes that you will inevitably make, particularly if you are starting up. And even if you're established, trying to get to that next level and put another naught on the end of your revenue each year. So that's what these videos are here for. These videos are kind of like quick run videos. I'm trying to give you quick wins here. Obviously, we go into way more depth in the clothing brand blueprint program, which is coming out. But this is here for you to just learn what I know very very quickly and just help you get some zeros on the board basically and start making sales and like making sure you're doing the right things and avoiding mistakes that just so many people make straight away. So this is the first lesson that we're going through now. Now, tips for creating best-selling garment. Now, this creating bestsellers is not guesswork. People think it is, and unless you're extremely innovative and just a special type of creative, which sometimes a lot of people need to kind of sit back and take a hard look at themselves and be like, right, I really want to own a clothing brand, but am I the creative here, or do I need to bring someone in? And it's not just oh yeah, like I wear clothes, I know what looks good, so I can then design and be a great designer. The reality is, that's not always the case, and you might need to have a hard conversation with yourself and be like, you know what, being part of building a clothing brand and making something incredible is what I want to do over anything else, taking ego aside and all these things. So I just want to start by saying that because some people are born creators and designers, and other people are born operators who have an eye as well. And we'll go into that in more detail in this training video. But right, first we've got, these are the 3 points, like the three main points I want to run through. I can go on for a long time and waffle on because I'm really passionate about this stuff. So I'll try not to do that. And I'm trying to keep it concise for you so it's just actionable. So we're going to go through how to identify bestsellers, understanding modeling for success, because that's really important, and all the little practical tips and techniques that I can give you from the start. So, like I said, identifying bestsellers, right? It's so important to identify other brands' bestsellers if you want to create one yourself. You've got to think about the niche that you're operating within. Whether like you're selling women's wear, menswear, gym wear, running wear, like anything that you want to create, that whatever pocket you're sat in, and in the course I'll go through like niches, sub niches, micro niches, like what that means and all of that. But for now, if you're operating within a niche and you know what it is, which you should be, you need to identify what's selling within that niche. That is the first and like the first most important thing you need to do. Like, and it is so important. And a lot of people don't do that. They just go, oh yeah, I think I understand what's cool or like what I should wear. It never works. And I'm going to go into a story at the end of this video to tell you why it doesn't work. And it's because you need a rationale for every decision you make, really. If you want to be successful and build a clothing brand that's successful, there needs to be a rational there needs to be a rational reason that's backing every decision you make, in terms of, you can't just go, right, we're going to create that because I think it looks good or I think that's cool. That's not a good enough reason to create it. It needs to be like, okay, we're going to create this product because it's autumn winter, these colors are trending right now, and also we know for a fact that this has been selling really well for us, or this other brand, blah 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 blah. You get my point. So there needs to be rational. All your decisions need to be like data backed effectively, and then in that way you don't waste time deliberating between making a decision, and you also get things done a lot quicker. And if it does go wrong, then it doesn't matter. At least you had a rationale behind it that was way better than just yeah, that will do. That looks really cool. I like it because a lot of the time, if you like it, it doesn't mean the market likes it, and that is a hard truth I've had to learn years ago. That I still have the conversation with, particularly with startups who think this is a brilliant product. It's all about what the market wants, not what you want if you want to be successful, right? So the importance of identifying bestsellers, so important. Next, we've got identifying via data collection. Now, this is the manual way of trying to figure out what is the best selling products in your niche, right? And it's so easy to do this because in terms of actually getting products to sell on a website and like all the CRO tricks, if you've ever heard of that, just means conversion rate optimization. So basically, once we've got traffic to a web page, as in once we've got eyeballs on a web page, how can we optimize that web page so that it convinces you as the traffic who came onto it to actually buy? And obviously, if you think about that logically, if you're spending money on ads or you're pushing people from organic content over to a page of a product, you know, whatever that's cost you, if you get more people to convert than don't based on the page and how that's actually structured and how it looks to convert, then you're obviously getting more for your money versus, if you get 10 people over via ads or content, but let's say ads because you've paid for it, 10 people come onto your site, 5 people buy, okay, that's good, right? That'd be a really good conversion rate. But the reality is, if you went from 10 people coming onto your site and then 8 people converting, you haven't had to spend any more money for them to convert. You've just had to make a better web page. So anyway, we go into all that in the blueprint. But for now, just to keep me on track, I told you I get a bit excited and passionate about it, particularly when it comes to marketing and things like that. I love the psychology of everything. But anyway, the reality is, talking about conversion rate optimization, a lot of brands will like categorize their bestsellers, or at least put their bestsellers, or at least they should do, at the top of their feeds when it's like products. So you can kind of identify them that way. So I'll show you an example now. Like if we go to represent here, common brand, I always use this as an example because I just know so many people are trying to copy them. If you go up here on the left to shop, they've got a bestsellers section here. And this isn't going to be a lie to throw people off. This will be their bestsellers, which is no doubt all their owners club stuff. And I'm assuming, yeah, all of their pants, everything. 247 pants are on there as well, and we know for a fact that they're bestsellers. So, yeah, not every website, but like most major brands will have a section called bestsellers because that's what a lot of shoppers will go to straight away. So, what you need to start doing from the start is obviously compiling a list of all the brands that you think fit inside your niche, right? An Excel sheet or something like that. I think I'll provide templates for you in the blueprint course as we go into this in more detail. But if you have this huge list of all your competitors, or that at least you think they're your competitors, because sometimes people think they've got competitors that they actually don't, and you compile a list, put their bestsellers down, and you'll start to see some commonalities, particularly for bigger brands, because they'll a lot of the time they'll be selling the same products with slight iterations because that's what the market wants. And this is the thing, right? And this isn't me trying to, you know, discourage or say don't be creative, don't be inventive. That's not true. You should, like, I love that, right? And I love people that do that. But I'm just trying to give you quick wins and like how to actually do this so that you don't just go and fork up a load of money and just waste it. And I've seen that happen so many times, and it's happened to me, and I just don't want it to happen to you, right? So that's data collection. Just go on people's sites and look for their bestsellers. I know that this isn't rocket science, but you'd be amazed about how many people don't actually do that. Just literally go on the sites of their competitors and figure out what their bestsellers are. Another way of doing this is via spy tools, right? And there's one that I love to use. A lot of brands use Shopify, right? And you should be using Shopify as well, but I won't go into that for now. So there's a tool called Shop Hunter, and this is what it looks like. So track top winning products. Now it's only going to track brands that have built their website on Shopify, but that's pretty much everyone nowadays in like the e-commerce world, because it is just undoubtedly the best platform. And I'm not paid to say that; it genuinely just is. And I've worked with all sorts: Wix, WordPress, Squarespace, just all of them. This is the best one for e-commerce. It just has everything you need, right? So all you have to do is you have to sign up. There is pricing, obviously $50 a month, 75. Look, they give you like three free stores to track from the start. So if you just create an account, right, this is what it'll look like. I've just done one now. I've got another account, but this is a brand new one I've just created for you just to show you. So for example, here you go to My Track Shops once you've created an account, which will bring you to this page, and then you can add a shop. So what you would do is you take a URL, and this is a big tip as well. Obviously, the bigger the brand, in fact, I'll show you with Represent because it's easier. If you see up here, it's the UK. Now you can change your shipping location and click continue. You can do this at different sections of the site, but you've seen how representclo.com, it's now shifted from .co.uk to .com. That's a separate store. So basically, what you want to put in is make sure that maybe the market you're looking to serve, you're using that shop's domain for that market, if you know what I mean. So as you can see, like here's the subdomain uk.representclo.com. It wasn't .co.uk, sorry. So then what you do is you take that and then you go over here, you drop it in there, and then you'd add shop, right? I won't do that just now because I've got one to show you. So My Track Shops. Once you've done that, it's going to populate data from that specific domain. So as you can see, this is the UK one. Now this is represent what day, in the last day, right? It's crazy. So you can see their revenue in the last day. You can see it in the last week. You can see it in the last month. It's obviously $2 million there, or just over. The last day, $68,000, £904, 904 cents, sorry. 434 orders. You can see their AOV and you can see the number of SKUs. SKUs just meaning stock keeping units. So like the different product variations. It's kind of like a back end labeling system for the actual company themselves. So then if you scroll down, this is where it's important, and this is what I want to get to. Like rather than just having to go to their sites and identify bestsellers, this is a different way of doing it. So this is real time back end data. Don't ask me how they do it. I have no idea. And you can filter by day, week, month. You can also filter by revenue, velocity, rank. Velocity just meaning like upcoming like bestsellers. But if you look at this over the last month, this Black Owners Club hoodie is one of their bestsellers. It's responsible for over $1 million in revenue. T-shirt, black T-shirt, over $200,000, and then their 247 pant, which has been selling day in and day out, quoted by George Heaton himself, for years, which is absolutely mental, right? So my point is you can use this software, right, to identify bestsellers. So then you've got your Excel spreadsheet or your Google sheet talking about or stating all the items that you found from your research, and then you do another one for Shop Hunter, and then you can cross correlate both of those spreadsheets and be like, right, wow, like for 20 brands that we've looked at, cargo pants that are slim fitted seem to be the thing that's selling, that everyone's got that's selling, right? And so from that point onwards, then we can move into the next step. But just to show you again, I'm not actually sure if, here we go, My Track Shops, add shop. So I pulled up a women's wear one. I'm not actually, I know this brand is popping off at the moment. This woman that owns it is just killing it on TikTok. And for like any women watching this who want to kind of emulate this style of clothing or this style of brand, just watch what this woman does on TikTok and everything. I think they've got a small team, but they're really building, and they're building in the right way. But it should work for this because I assume it's a Shopify store. Sometimes it doesn't always, but we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So it does. So let's see. In the last month, $2 million in sales, right? And now the same thing applies to women's wear. And you can see all of the products that her bestsellers to emulate off, which is mad because this now gives you a starting point. It's not it's not just guesswork. You haven't just said, okay, I think this sells really well, right? And obviously, seasons change with women's wear, but I know for a fact this dress has been out for a long time because I've seen it everywhere and my fiance has talked about it so much. So I know this has been out for a long time. And obviously, when you're starting out, to work in collections and work seasons ahead is very difficult. You don't have the capital to do so. So that's why this is a really helpful tool. Um, and potentially more helpful for menswear because obviously, these are basics that have been sold for years. So that gives you like a real solid idea of like colors, fits, all of that sort of stuff, graphic prints, everything. And with women's wear as well, it gives you an idea of, shapes, the types of dresses, all of that sort of stuff, right? So with that being said, let's go back to this presentation now. So, right, identifying Venus spy tools. There's more out there. I go through more in the course, but that's just to give you a quick one. Shop Hunter. So, if you want, download that. Again, I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I don't make any money off you doing it, nor do I want to. I'm not really asked. But it is a really good way to get free data that's really important data. So, yeah, definitely go and check that out. And then we move on to the 3% rule, right? And this was coined by Virgil Abloh, the 3% rule. But my point is, now you've got your data, so now you know what's actually selling in your market, in your niche, and you've got concrete data on the fact that it is selling. Now we move into modeling. Like, success leaves clues, and that's a very important statement that people overlook. And this is your way of being innovative from the start. And if you are starting out and you kind of, you just want to mess around with it. You want to try and build a brand. You want to try things and do stuff like you want to be creative, but you want to do it with some form of data back to rationale rather than just like throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. Then I just think the 3% rule is brilliant because it's going to help you. It's going to help you with a lot more accuracy and probability create something that's going to sell, right? So this means taking something that is popular that people are already proven to like and changing it, in this case, by 3%, which is what Virgil Abloh lived by, who's an absolute legend designer, particularly in like the streetwear world, who obviously founded Off-White, for those of you that don't know, but I'm sure you do. So enough to make it unique in its own right, but also familiar enough to gain interest from its already built-in fan base, from people who already like the original design. This is not boring or copying. It's called modeling and improving. Because I know there's going to be a load of people who are like, yeah, that's copying. The reality is it's not, because I'm not telling you to copy. I'm telling you to look at what's selling, what your market wants, which is real-time data, and then look at it and go, okay, what's great about that and why do people like that? How can we maybe how can we tweak it or change it by 3% to make it even better, right? That's just continually improving on something that already exists. And the reason behind that is the theory is that people desire both familiarity and novelty, but operate between two opposing forces, neophilia and neophobia. So, neophilia is a curiosity about new things, and neophobia is a fear of anything too new. And as a result, people gravitate to products that are bold but instantly comprehensible. So that's human nature at play. Like, if you come out with something crazy bold, right? Just insane, you think it's really cool. It's like, like a real Instagram piece, particularly like back in the day, just something that pops, that like grabs people's attention. That doesn't mean it's going to sell. And it's because most people, if you walk down the high street, if you just go outside and just monitor what people wear, and like when you start building a brand, you'll end up doing this. You'll be like watching what people are wearing, what men and women are both wearing, and just being like, oh, I see. Like, if you look at the color palettes that are being used all the time, it's very rarely you're going to find people who are wearing like ridiculously bold colors or like absolutely wild, outlandish fits and things like that, because most people do not want to stand out. Like, it takes a particular personality, and these are the minority, right? Like, of the people that want to actually stand out with what they're wearing. Most of the time, people want to just wear brands or no brands and just kind of blend in but look good, and that's more toned down colors and things like that, which is a mistake that I learned like 10 years ago, basically, when I bought out one of the first brands I worked on. Um, and so this is why I'll talk you through it now. And this is exactly what happened. And this was a big lesson for me. And I don't want any of you to make it, which is why I've included it. So I created clothing with bright colors and bold fabrics, such as grape velour tracksuits that shot incredibly well in campaigns and gained marketing interest, but sold very badly. Yeah, exactly that. So I thought they were sick. It did gain a lot of interest. They shot like so well because I like wanted to shoot it all on film. It was like really poppy. It gained a lot of attraction through ads and stuff, but it just didn't convert because who wants to walk around like what? There's not a lot of men or women really that want to walk around the street in a great velour tracksuit because it just draws way too much attention. And some of you might be thinking, wow, that's obvious. It wasn't to me 10 years ago when I started. I didn't have any background in building a brand. I didn't understand e-commerce. I didn't understand the fashion industry. I just knew I wanted to be part of it, right? And so that was a big lesson for me straight away. And it wasn't until I switched my strategy to selling similar items to my competitors with slight design differences that my sales started to increase rapidly. And that is a true story. Genuinely, I went through the same process, but Shop Hunter wasn't about back then. And I found like these cargo pants, but they were actually jeans. So I put them in like a straight fit. And this was after I'd spent an awful lot of money making a lot of clothing um, in Portugal that I'd basically made from. I started out selling vintage clothing, right? So I did quite well with that, managed to pull that money in, start this brand, burnt all the money on producing my first collection, and most of it didn't sell apart from when I switched up and created these cargos based on like the rationale that these are selling really well, and I sold them out with Facebook ads in 2 weeks, like 250 of them in 2 weeks. And I remember being like, wow. And that's when I got addicted to e-commerce and ads as well, and everything else that you need to learn when you're building a brand. But yeah, do not take this and think just because one brand in your niche made a blank t-shirt that has their name on it in small that you can make the same t-shirt and just stick your brand name on it instead. And that's an important point. So just because like we saw the Owners Club t-shirt in black from Represent, just because they've got Represent the Owners Club on it, doesn't mean you can just go and take another t-shirt and stick whatever your brand name is on and think it's going to sell. That's very different at the start. You can do that with time or incredible design. But you've got to think, as much as your brand name means something to you, no one else cares about it. And that's just the harsh reality of it. Nobody else cares about it. And so until you give your name meaning, you can't really play that game. Unless you're making unless you're obviously you're well in tune with like how to create really good converting landing pages, and you're creating, you're really moving into like creating high quality garments with like really luxurious fabrics and stuff like that, and you want to play off like simplicity and things like that, then that can work. But the majority of the time, the most of the people that hit me up have that theory, and that just never works. And that's something that I correct like straight away with a lot of people. And all of a sudden sales start to increase and ads start to work because there's actually something unique. And that brings me back to just don't copy, model. So, for example, if you know it's black that's selling really well, you know you need to have a black t-shirt. Then look at the designs and be like, okay, let's look at the layout, not necessarily just stick our name in there. Maybe we need to, model off the layout and tweak some things and change some bits. Or maybe we need to just like flip it and change more than 3% and try some different techniques. Let's throw some embroidery on there, or go for test like large prints over small prints and so on until you find what works for you. Um, like I said, it does not work because your name as a clothing brand, as meaningful as it means to you when you start out, means nothing to anyone else until you give it meaning, which will only happen through your design or time. And that is the harsh reality of it, right? And that's it. I tried to get through this quickly because I really wanted to give you some actionable things to do straight off the bat, so you can just literally go away and implement that right now and start changing what, either if you were sat there thinking, oh, what am I going to start with? Or even maybe you've like got into the sampling stage of some things and you're like, oh, maybe that isn't going to sell too well, or things like that. I really hope this helps genuinely, because this was a real like flick for me when I understood it back in the day. And like I said, I just want to bring it back to, it's okay to be an operator and not the creator. Everyone wants to be the creative director, right? Everyone wants to be that because it's the cool job. But sometimes, I want you to understand that vision and like being the director in terms of trying to say, this is where I want this brand to go, this is what this brand means, but within it I want the people creating within it. That's absolutely fine. You've still had your play creatively, but you're focusing on actually building something of scale, something of importance, rather than letting your ego take over. So just have that lesson with you. But if you are on your own and you are starting out and you do want to go for it, just make rational backed decisions. And you can do that through data every time. Everything is data. It sounds boring, but that is just the way it is. It's data. Everything's, pre-calculated, and that's what you want it to be, to ensure that you don't go and waste loads of capital, or like if you're trying to do it as a side hustle or something like that, if you're not wasting your money, I don't want you to do that, because I've wasted an obscene amount of money learning everything I've had to learn. And I don't want you to do that. So yeah, the Clothing Brand Blueprint launches the 13th of August. I'm only going to allow 2,000 people in on launch day, because I just want to maintain the success rate and integrity of the course, basically. And it is a program for those of you that haven't like really read through the pages yet, who might just be here through an email or something. And obviously, based on this topic that we've discussed here and creating a bestseller, there is so much more to it. I just wanted to give you a snippet, a quick win. But obviously inside the blueprint, we're going to cover way more. We're going to talk about perennial sellers, how to create collection types that sell, what are the different collection types and things like that. Perennial sellers obviously being, you've got bestsellers and you've got perennial sellers, and that should be, the pinnacle really for any brand. You should all aspire to create a perennial seller, like the Never Full bag by Louis Vuitton, things like that. And we'll go into that in much more detail, and collection types and things like that. And yeah, it is a step-by-step guide. It's taken me a year and a half to create. It's People have been asking me to come up with things for a long time. Like, I get a lot of people message me day in, day out, where is this brand made? How can I find a low MOQ manufacturer? How do I run Facebook ads properly? I can't scale. How do I get past this point? All these questions. I want to help all of you, but I can't. Like, physically, I'm like helping establish brands in real life. I'm building my own brands that are coming out, and things that are behind the scenes that people don't know about, that I'm going to start releasing on YouTube and things like that, that will hopefully help you as well. But this was my way of helping a lot of you all at once. And I've poured everything I know into it. Whether you're just starting out or you're just established, if you're starting out and you've got no money, for example, you need to know what business model is available to you, because you can start with no money. How to use models simultaneously, how to switch from one model to the other as you scale, how to find manufacturers yourself, how to find brands manufacturers yourself, how to work with manufacturers successfully when you actually find one, how to make sure that manufacturers respond to you, how to sell out your first collection, all the marketing strategies, what's a sales funnel, why do I need to know that, how do you bring customers back, how do you run Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, how do you scale without giving away equity and having someone just leech on your business. Everything is covered in this program. So yeah, it's coming out 13th of August. Keep that date in your mind. We've got, obviously, yeah, I've said suitable for startups and established brands. Either way, I've tried to make it so it's literally just the blueprint, regardless of what stage you're at. And then lastly, the next free training video is August the 1st. It's going to be on a page just like this one. And if anyone misses, you wouldn't be watching this one if you've missed it, but eventually they'll all be available on one page. So on training video 2 day, when that's released, you'll be able to rewatch this video if you want. So that's the day for the next one, and that is an intro to sourcing manufacturers, tips on how I actually go about finding manufacturers, and things that I think will be really helpful for you. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. I hope it was valuable for you. Big love for watching, and yeah, go smash it.